Many centuries ago, in a quiet forest grove, the Buddha sat beneath a great tree. Around him sat his students, listening, learning, searching for peace. One morning, a young disciple arrived in visible distress. His face was tight with pain. His hands trembled. His eyes were red from sleepless nights. He sat down heavily and said nothing for a long moment, simply staring at the ground in front of him. "Teacher," the young man finally said, his voice shaking, "I am in so much pain. My business has failed. Everything I built for 10 years is gone. I feel like I am suffering more than anyone should ever have to bear. HR." The Buddha looked at him with quiet compassion, no judgment in his eyes, only patience. "Tell me," he said gently, "if a man is struck by an arrow, does it hurt?" So, atonement broke. "Of course," the young man replied. "It would hurt greatly. The wound would be real." "And if, right after being struck," the Buddha continued, "a second arrow strikes him in the very same wound, does that hurt more?" "Yes," the young man said immediately. "Far more. The pain would be unbearable." The Buddha nodded slowly. "In life," he said, "the first arrow is unavoidable. It is pain. It comes to every single person who has ever lived. Loss, failure, sickness, disappointment, grief. No one escapes it, not kings, not monks, not even me." Pause. The young man looked up, surprised. "But the second arrow," Buddha continued, "is the one we shoot ourselves." The young man frowned, listening closely, leaning forward now. "The second arrow," Buddha said, "is everything we add on top of the pain. Our anger about it, our endless replaying of it in our minds, the story we tell ourselves that this should not have happened, that we are foolish for letting it happen, that it is unfair, that it will never get better, that we are somehow broken because of it. That second arrow," he said softly, "is suffering. And unlike the first arrow, it is entirely optional. We choose to fire it again and again, sometimes without even realizing." The young man sat in silence for a long while. He thought about his failed business. The pain of it was real. That was the first arrow. Unavoidable, honest, simply a part of being alive. But then he thought about the weeks since, the sleepless nights replaying every mistake over and over, the anger he carried toward himself, the endless story playing in his mind that he was a failure, that he had wasted 10 years, that nothing he ever built would last, that he had let down everyone who believed in him. That was not the business failing. That was the second arrow fired again and again and again by his own mind every single night. "So," the young man said slowly, "the failure itself was the first arrow, but all my suffering since then, the sleepless nights, the anger, the endless blame that has been the second arrow, one I have been shooting myself over and over without even noticing." The Buddha smiled gently. "You cannot always stop the first arrow," he said. "Life will strike you. That is simply the nature of being alive. None of us are spared." "But the second arrow," he said, placing a hand briefly over his own heart, "you hold that bow yourself. You may feel the pain fully, grieve it, honor it, let it move through you, and still choose not to add suffering on top of it." The young man bowed deeply and walked back into the world. His business had still failed. Nothing about his circumstances had changed, but something inside him had shifted completely. Pain is part of being alive. It will find all of us again and again in different forms and at different times. But suffering, the endless replaying, the self-blame, the story we tell ourselves about our pain, that is a choice we make, often without realizing we are making it. The next time life strikes you with its first arrow, pause, breathe, and ask yourself one simple question: am I about to shoot the second one myself?